Hey, Rifters, welcome to the show. Subscribe, rate and review, tell a friend. Got a good show today. You've seen him in Lisa Frankenstein, the TV shows Your Honor, Van Wilder, and probably you guys know him from the most from being the star of this movie called Angus, which when I grew up, that was like a big movie for me. I used to watch that with Pop all the time, and we saw it in theaters together. So I'm going to be talking to the great Charlie Talbert via Zoom. So if you like this episode, subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend, and enjoy Razor Riffs with Charlie Talbert coming up next.
From Hollywood, California, welcome to Razor Riffs with your host, Keith Reza.
Hello.
Hey, Charlie Talbert, how are you?
I'm good. How's it going?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for spending some time to talk with me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. How do I sound? Okay.
You sound great.
Good.
Uh,
Good.
I want to respect your time. Do I need to put in an alarm? I know you said you have stuff to do today, so.
I did it. I did it. I just got
Oh,
done with the rehearsal. So I booked a project, and I had to go in for rehearsals today, which is kind of strange, And then, but it's good because you get a feel for where you're at, what you're doing. And then I got fitting tomorrow, and then I shoot next Monday, and that's actually my last day here in Louisiana, and then I move up to New York that night.
oh my
So
God. Well,
like a lot going on.
congratulations on the new job, man. That's awesome.
Thanks, man. I'm very excited. I'm working for a director that I never thought I'd be working for, so I'm very, very grateful. He's been somebody that's been, you know, around since the '60s, so I'm really jazzed to be working with him.
Oh my gosh. How cool would it be? Like, what if I guess it? Is it Oliver Stone?
No, no.
uh, but no.
If you get it in three, including Oliver Stone, I'll tell you.
Okay. Martin Storskaysky? Is
Oh
that
no, not yet, not yet,
not yet?
not yet.
Okay. So
I
I
did
got
read
one.
for Killers of the Flower Moon, though.
Okay. So I got one more guess.
One more, you can do it.
Oh man, this is all pressure. I was joking, but now I'm very curious.
All right.
George Lucas?
Oh God, I wish.
Oh,
But no, I'm pretty excited about who I'm working with. So
all
kudos.
right.
But you're not in the wrong vein, if you will,
Okay.
for timeline. So good work.
All right. Well, maybe when the project comes out, if you want to do it again, then we'll find out and we'll talk about it.
It's ridiculous. The audition was like purely improv. I don't even know if I'm going to be talking, honestly.
Oh my God.
But it's one of those directors where like you can't not do it. You know what I
Right.
mean?
You have to do
So
it. Yeah, that's
yeah.
awesome. So,
So all right, when do we start? How do we start? What are we talking?
oh, we
Trivia?
already started.
Oh, okay,
It's-
gotcha.
but yeah, I just like to, but you know what? You want to hear something interesting about you? Like I believe in like signs or something. Maybe this isn't very interesting, but my legal name is Charles,
No,
which people call Charles Charlie. And I don't want to tell like the people where I live, but one of the streets I live on is called Talbert. So it's kind of, I was like, Charlie Talbert. I was like, that's kind of cool. But,
nice. Yeah, I've seen a few street signs with my name on it, and I've always been tempted because I always get confused for Talbot.
yeah.
And then if I'm at a party and I try to say my name, I'll be like, "I'm Charlie." And they're like, "Trevor?" And I'm like, "That's not even nearly close. How does that?" But it's like that's always the name.
Yeah.
Like that's always the name that gets confused for. But yeah, man, thanks for having me on board. I'm super excited to be here. It's
Um,
Rift. What's up?
yeah, of course, man. And I know you obviously from Angus. Angus was one of those movies that, when I was a kid, I saw it with my grandfather, and that was like one of our movies we watched and we bonded over. So it really did like change my life on that. And I kind of know the story how you got discovered, and I don't, I don't like asking the same questions you've been asked. But I wanted to ask you on your fight scene with the Seventh Heaven boy, when you were memorizing all that lines and stuff, because it's your first movie. Did you have
Seventh
like,
Heaven Boy?
yeah, James or,
Oh, well,
I
he
was,
wasn't in Seventh Heaven, was he?
yeah, I think he was. Oh, Dawson's Creek. Sorry.
Right.
That joke bombed because I got the wrong show.
You want to
But
start over? You can. You
we'll
totally.
start over.
Hey, and we just riffed. Go ahead. We're
Yeah,
good.
yeah. This is the 10 o'clock version. But I wanted to ask, like, did that because that was a very touching and powerful scene, and your first movie, and you're the star of the movie. Like, did it give you anxiety memorizing that, or how did you go through that?
That scene, I think we did one and done. And in fact, we shot the rehearsal, as I recall,
Uh-huh.
and the whole table breakthrough. That wasn't even the stunt table. It legit, like, he was just gonna I was just gonna capture myself, or he was gonna just catch me. I can't remember what it was. It was me that fell into the table, I think, but
Yeah.
it did what it was supposed to do. It just wasn't the table that was supposed to do it.
Oh my
So
god.
it really kind of motivated everything because I was really in it.
Yeah.
And at that time, as a big kid, everything I was saying was true, and it was more organically so coming from my heart than the page.
Right.
So it wasn't hard for that scene to spill out, to pour out. But I will say that the difficult scene that gave me a lot of anxiety in the same respect was the one I had with George C. Scott, um, in his final scene where he tells me Superman's not brave, and I have to tell him what I go through every day, and then he's gone. And that scene took a day and a half to shoot. Oh well, day and a morning to
Right.
shoot, which it should have only taken the rest of that day. But it was so heavy, and it was so there was a lot of pressure on my own mind to get that scene done right, and I couldn't have been more supported by George, you know. And when we finally got it on pickups the next morning, I was very grateful, and I was very apologetic to the crew. I'm sorry. I was like, I'm sorry it took so long yesterday. It was just very heavy for me to wrap my mouth around. Also because I had a pretty heavy list,
Right.
a heavy list at the time. So it's one of those, like, can I get it out? Can I express what I'm trying to say? Because if you throw away the wrong line or word in a speech, you might as well not have done the speech.
Yeah, it changes the whole flow and stuff, and then you have to do another take and stuff. Because, like, I mean, I'm not the best actor, but I've done a couple movies, and I have autism, so I have like a speech stutter sometimes. So certain words I do, it's very hard, and I feel like whenever I do filming of any type, they hate me because I always screw it up. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you a good trick for that.
Yeah.
Um, if you have a cork, use a cork. But if not, I don't know if you've ever done this. Take your three fingers just like this.
Okay.
You're going to do it with me right now. What's a
Yeah.
hard sentence for you to say? What's a hard
Uh,
word?
I don't know. Like, I got
What's a
like a hard word,
yeah?
maybe. I don't know. Yeah, on the spot. Sophisticated, maybe. I don't
There it
know.
is, sophisticated.
Is it
So I would say that I would say that I'm very sophisticated. You heard the list,
right?
but I take my fingers and I press it just against the tip of my tongue, and I put it between my teeth so it's not fully in.
Okay.
Right. For anybody that has a list, and then you say, I would say that I'm not sophisticated. I would say that I'm not sophisticated. So go ahead and say that three times
Uh,
while putting your
uh,
fingers in your teeth. So you're
like,
biting down on all your nails
yeah, like your
like
nails.
this.
Okay.
So take your bottom finger right here and put it on
Okay.
top of your teeth.
Uh,
And now do the same here. Now say, I would say I'm very sophisticated.
I would say I'm very sophisticated.
One more time.
I would say I'm very sophisticated.
One more time.
I would
I
say I'm
would say I'm
very,
very
very
sophisticated. Now say
sophisticated.
it.
I would say I'm very sophisticated. Oh
Say it.
wow!
Yeah. I have
Whoa!
a Amy Chafee, who's a dialect coach. She's quite brilliant. She's actually referenced in the last Deadpool Wolverine movie. She, about the dialect coach. She's very brilliant at what she does, and she taught me that trick with my list because what it is it relaxes your jaw, so it's in an open state.
Oh
And
my
for
god!
us, with our list, we kind of hold tight to what we have going on in our mouth. So if you loosen it up, you can say, I would say I'm very sophisticated, and that stays open.
Wow, that's like a trick that speech therapists should say. Like,
Exactly. And
like,
you know, if you have a lisp at home, if you have trouble with that, or you have to do public speaking, or you just want to be a little more open, maybe you're going on a date, maybe something like that, just for a little while, just hold a cork in your mouth, or you know, a lighter, you know, something of that width, and don't put it all the way in, just touching the tongue, and then just talk for a little while and say words you don't normally say, and you'll be freed up for the rest of the evening.
Wow. I'm totally gonna try that the next movie or TV show I do, and I'm gonna like be like, my good pal Charlie Talbert told me this, and then
I got footage. It's right here.
wow, that's awesome. Uh, so I have one more Angus question for you, and then we'll jump around to other stuff. But how? Because I feel like also like when people are working with child stars, especially since this was your first movie, I think they kind of know like you don't have acting experience, so they kind of know how to guide you into how to carry it. I was wondering, did you have a good support system like that? I mean, because with Kathy Bates, she's great, and she played off you so great that I feel like that was instant chemistry.
She, to start with, she had a really funny bit that I missed at the time, but Patrick Reed Johnson, who directed it, loves to tell the story. Um, when I say, you know, when she says Haagen Dazs for ice cream, and we go down, we're having ice cream, I have this whole spiel, and she said, "Too bad this isn't Uden Haagen Dazs, Udo Haagen Dazs," and I was like, "That's hilarious." I think it's funny now. I missed it when I was a kid because I never studied.
Right.
But I got to tell you, she was so amazing. She let me pick out the cover of Dolores Claiborne.
Oh my God,
And
really?
yeah, so the cover with the house and the two faces or whatever, that was, she had a couple different just like layouts, and she had final approval, I guess. And so she said, "Well, what do you think?" And she told me a bit about the story, and she knew that I was innocent enough to just take what she gave me and run with it. And I said, "Well, then I think it would be this, you know." And she literally picked up her Motorola cell phone at that moment, made the phone call, and that was the cover. And it was a really cool bonding experience, and it let me know that she trusts me, and I don't even know how real it was. Like, she could have already picked that cover. You know, it's like one of
Right,
those
right.
things. But it was such a perfect like bonding moment. And then with Patrick, who directed me and discovered me, like we had a scene where I have to cry. The movie that you saw was a lot heavier with emotion, and there were a lot more moments where I was having deeper conversations with my fathers, like Larry Drake or Robert Curtis Brown, which got cut out of the film.
Yeah.
So when they tried marketing this film, it was very difficult because they couldn't put it quite in teen comedy. They didn't have it heavy enough for drama, even though the dramatic stuff happens to Angus. But there's a scene that's still in the movie with Anna Thompson, who was in The Crow. She played
Mhm.
the deadbeat mom in The Crow, and she gives me the suit after Grandpa passes away, and it says, "Don't open it if you're not brave. You know, if you're brave." And don't open it if you're Superman. And when I opened the suit the first couple times, it was just the suit, and we were shooting live in Minnesota, and I just couldn't cry. There was something that just wasn't working, and I know that was kind of waning on her a little bit. And it was just a couple times, and Patrick had a brilliant idea. He knew how close I was with my grandmothers, and he knew I was worried in particular at that time about one of them. And when I opened the suit for the third take, inside was a note that said, "Your grandma passed away. We're going to get you on a flight right after this scene."
Oh my God.
And I just started crying, and just like, you know, it was perfect for the scene. And
Right.
then when the old cut, I ran over to him and I just started punching him in the chest because I knew he was lying, and
Oh, that's
it was
good. That's good.
brilliant. You know,
Yeah.
like I didn't know until I looked over and he goes, and I go, "Oh," you know, and he let me punch him a few times in the chest, which was great. And I was like, "Thank you so much," because I wasn't getting there, and I knew the importance of getting there for this scene for this movie, and you know, being a novice as an actor, that really was one of the first times another fellow actor helped me out. And one of the things that I'm learning lately, I'm going to go to New York now. I have this shoot on the 24th, and then that night I'm going to get in my car and just drive to New York forever. And
Yeah.
I'm going to go study acting but I'm learning that it's all about making your scene partner look good, you know, and either getting something from them or helping them get whatever they need, but finding that conflict in a scene, no matter how small it is, um, to carry that scene, to make you believe there's a purpose for that scene. So that's something, I mean, I'm built for sitcoms and television, but we don't make that stuff anymore.
Oh
So
yeah,
I
definitely.
need to like bring me in, and I need to see what the core of me looks like when I'm not doing improv or being crazy. And I love improv. I mean, that's just me, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Are you still doing stand up or did you take a break from that?
I quit stand up about 6 months into living here in Louisiana. I was living in New Orleans proper, and a friend of mine named Jeannie Dean was introduced to me by a comedian named Frank Castillo, and I met him at the Comedy Store on Sunset. And he said, "This girl Jeannie, she'll take you in. She'll try to help you out with your comedy." And she would take me to open mics. She would be so supportive. She's long since gone, God rest, but she was one of those people that she basically opened up every venue to me so I could go in and do stand up. The only problem I had with stand up here was that it's mixed with burlesque shows. And
Oh
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
that's the wrong two crowds for a comedy show.
Yeah.
So I just kind of walked away from comedy. But during the pandemic, the pandy, um, I got onto Clubhouse and somehow got connected, stumbled into the comedy, the, what do you call it, the, oh, why am I blanking on the name? The Laugh Factory improv rooms
Yeah.
and comedy, writing jokes, all that stuff. And I started helping people write their jokes, and we would get visitors like Tiffany Haddish and Bill Burr would pop in. It was very cool. And at one point, I was just a constant thing where we were doing classes, and these up and coming comics who are doing it right now in the real world let me and other people like Corinne or Izzy help them write their comedy,
Yeah.
and not do their comedy for them, but help them find their true voice, and also just critique the hell out of it. That's the one thing I love about stand-up comedy. In an audition for film or television, you're like, oh hey, oh god, that guy's here. He's probably gonna get it. What if I acted more like him? Then maybe I'll get it if I'm more like him. Richie Montgomery, I love that guy. Maybe if I'm Richie and your brain just, and then you're like, hey, but in stand-up comedy, and they love you. I mean, these people, all these actors that I work with down here, I know each and every one of them on a very personal basis, and I can't thank my lucky stars for being involved with something like that. But I tell you, um, in the stand-up game, it's a little more cutthroat and more helpful. And
Oh, for
here's the
sure.
lie:
Yeah.
if you tell a joke in a room full of stand-up comics and you hear, "Oh, that was great," don't ever do
Probably
that joke again. It's the
that
worst. Nobody loves that joke.
yeah.
They
Or
will
they're
laugh.
secretly jealous of you. You know what I mean?
No,
Or
that
you
is
don't
a
think
you
so?
did bad. But if you do this, if you tell a joke and you hear, "Hmm, it's brilliant. It's gonna fucking kill on stage." That's the difference between comedians and actors. You work with an actor and they're like, "Oh, that's fucking great," and they mean it. But then they're gonna be like, "How do I find that in my?" Because nobody can be you when it comes to joke telling. And
Right.
honestly, no, I'm learning that nobody can be you when it comes to acting. However, they can be different versions of themselves that are representative of maybe what you're putting out there as well, but just a different age, a different time, a different look. Even on rehearsals today, I was like worried about what I was doing as far as like, the director was like, you should be this there, and he said it one more time. It's like, copy that. So I did it, and I was good. He didn't say anything. I was like, okay. When they don't say anything, I have to remember that that's pretty good sometimes. And then I got my call for my fitting for tomorrow. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
So I'm always in doubt. In fact, I didn't even think I got this job.
Uh,
And
yeah. Well, positive thinking also really helps too. You know what I mean? Like, so like if you go in with the thinking, okay, oh, I think I'm gonna get there. So they're like the universe kind of goes in a world where like, okay, things are gonna happen for Charlie Talbert. You know what I mean? And that's a beautiful thing.
that's what happened with Megalopolis. And
Yeah.
I told myself, I told my agent, I was like, I think I'm supposed to be in this movie. And she goes, hey, you and everybody else.
Yeah.
And then she looked at the breakdown. She was like, no, they just wanted three females. And then my other friend, or my other cast, or my other agent who represents me in New York, LA, I call her and I go, hey, I think I'm supposed to be in this movie. She goes, yeah, you and everybody else. And I was like, son of a bitch. And then she like submitted me on every breakdown possible for this project, but it was like for girl walks through background, not overweight guy does this, man must not have mustache, and she's just like, these, I'm gonna submit them, submit them, submit 'em. And they emailed her and they were like, no more, stop it, we're not gonna see.
Yeah.
And then my friend Carrie Miles, who's a casting associate out in LA, she's friends since I told her, since gosh, her and our other friend Farrah West, who's in casting, who just cast me in a western called Killing Faith. Like I've known them so long that when I met them, I was teaching Farrah while Taser was there how to roller skate, not rollerblade, roller skate. That's how long.
Roller skate. Yeah.
Yeah, and she said, hey, you wanted to be in Megalopolis, didn't you? And I was like, how you know that? I didn't even tell you that. And she's like, well, let me see if I can get you an audition. She couldn't. She called. She's like, "Hey, I can't. Oh wait, hold on. I can't get you the audition. Wait, hold on. Oh, okay. They're not going to see you in a regular audition, but can you go to the extras call?" And
Wow.
and I was like, "What?" And it was 7.5 hours away. I was like, "I can't really be an extra because." And it turned out the casting directors knew who I was from. They were trying desperately and did cast me in Versace, but that role got like cut the same day. And
Right.
I was like, okay, but they read me for the lead detective too. So I was like, oh, they're really cool. They understand how I work and what kind of work I do. And I got plopped in a room with 100 people behind me, and there in the room picking out every extra was Francis Ford Coppola.
Oh my gosh.
They knew he was going to be there, and that's why they told me to come. And then I came up, I washed my hands, I shook his hand. I saw that he was writing notes on people's headshots. People were treating it like Comic-Con. There was 500 people there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in the room at a time, it looked like the scene from Back to the Future where they're like, you kids are just too darn loud, the table. And I go up and I had 2 headshots printed out and I separate them because he was writing and putting it in a box and then moving the boxes around. And I
Right.
go, here you go, Francis, one for each box. And he starts laughing. He goes, but you know which box is which? And I said, no. And he points to the 99 people behind me. He goes, but I bet you do, don't you? And they all start laughing. And long story short, I, I'll tell you more about it later at some point in my life. But I left. I got a call the next day saying, hey, Francis wants to read you for a character. And
Wow. Congrats.
yeah,
That's so awesome though. Like
yeah.
that's,
But it
positive.
was manifesting, and really being sincere and being honest.
Yeah.
One of the things I said to Francis, and I really meant it when I was walking out of that first meeting the first time. And granted, I'm a blip in that film, if anything, but when I knew what I was going out for, I knew the story behind it. I knew how long he'd been working on it, and I know how long I've been working on my craft. And for him to get a project finally that he had tried to start shooting in 2001, but 9/11 happened. He tried to get it out there, and he's finally doing it. And I said to him, I said, I'm proud of you. Setting a love story against Cicero or Cataline in this time, it's going to be amazing. I'm really proud of you, Francis. And he was like, oh, thank you. He's like, I've been trying to get this done, and I said, well, I hope it turns out the way you want it. And as I was walking away, I just looked at myself as I was walking away, and I was like, did you just tell Francis Ford Coppola you were proud of him? Who the fuck are you? And my brain just fell out of my head. And then I found
Sometimes it
out,
helps though, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Because like,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I think that we in a society, I think that compliments are good, even if it's like kind of like embarrassing like that, because I don't think people realize how important those compliments are.
hmm
You know what I mean? Like when
you
someone
know, you
tells
know,
you Angus changed their lives,
yeah,
it means a lot to you. And when you were filming it, you probably had no clue it was going to do that.
no, I knew what it was doing for me,
Yeah.
so I kind of recognized that right away. And to work with people that I watched growing up, it really that has become my ultimate fun time in this business, besides the actual pretending. Every time I get on set, it's brand new. I've only lost myself in a few roles where I couldn't see the camera,
Right.
you know, and it's I'm very honored to work with the people that made me feel how people say that I've made them feel, because that in my mind is giving back, you know,
Yeah.
and being
Yeah.
grateful for what I get to do sometimes, you know.
Sometimes it's worth more than money just to have that feeling. You know what I mean? Because like there's so many people in this world, and if you could just brighten them up with just one thing of work you've done, it's like that's worth it, you know?
Hmm.
So
And then the money, and the
yeah,
money
the money's
becomes.
always the money's always a plus.
No, I'm
But I
kidding.
mean I'm just saying.
I'm
Uh
kidding.
But I wanted to ask you because you mentioned this. We'll go back in time about 10 minutes ago. You said that as an actor, about the moments. You have certain moments where you could change your character and your arc, and you're the type of guy who you've been the star of something, and then you've also been the sidekick, and then you've also have a minor part. So like you've done every single part of the food chain. So like, how did you like, how did you learn that? Because it's very difficult. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know if I learned it. Uh, I just texted my agent the other day, and I said to her jokingly, I said, "I think I'm going to be the next best silent film star." And she was like, "I love it." She's like, "But these directors you're getting to work for, like, I had lines to Megalopolis or whatever, yeah, and like, but it was like I knew where and why and how. Like I knew it was coming. I knew, and I was very happy with the way the film turned out, because I realized that it was a reflection. It literally, we're walking through Francis's mind, and Francer is Caesar,
Right.
Skyline, and Caesar, and when you see the fractal, like, he even has a character in it called Bale and the Fractal. Those fractals are actually reflections of our own society through the distorted lens, which is our own mind, which is Francis's mind. And it was funny in the theater. People joke about, oh, which way the film went for them, but not one person left the film. That's what I love. But the fact that I got to be a small cog in these projects, it's not something I learned. It's something that I've found that I have to have an appreciation for, because I've rebooted my entire career.
Right.
So I've started out in leads, but the leads of the films that I was doing, they were not bad films. They were just of a time of raunchy humor. They were of a time of, can we still hold on to the world of Porky's? Can we? And it's one of those things where, I mean, hell, my best friend, Chris Owen, who played the Shermanator in the American Pie films, I mean, he was part of most of the teen comedies of that era,
Yeah.
excluding October Sky, which was in no way a comedy, and Dear Wendy, which was in no way a comedy. He really, I remember telling him when we were younger, because we lived together for like 14 years.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, he's my best friend.
Co-stars roommates.
Yeah. And he, I told him, I said, listen, you're blowing up right now. I said, I'm not going to work until I'm in my 40s.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm not really going to start working until I'm in my 40s. And sure as hell, just as I hit, I'm getting my late 30s and 40s. I've worked with Adam McKay and, Bear Jenkins, and, you know, um, Coppola, Jeremy Saulnier, these different directors. And I'm so grateful to just be someone that they looked at and said, I do want your face in my film, because you represent part of my vision.
Yeah.
And I have to remember that you can very easily blow your head up. It can just become very heavy with the weight of all your accomplishments.
Yeah.
I don't find myself accomplished. Literally, I'm moving to New York next week to study acting, to
Yeah.
go to the core. And I'm not talking, oh, I hope I get to be in Glengarry Glen Ross. I'm talking Shakespeare. I'm talking, just core work of being subtle, being Charlie,
Right.
and not being on all the time, but being there in the moment. So when I have these smaller roles, even the larger roles, when I get to do those, like the Western I just shot with Guy Pearson and Bill Pullman, it's called Killing Faith and DeWanda Weiss.
Oh, nice.
I auditioned for that 6 months before I got to work on it. And I stayed on top of it because I knew that was a character that I really wanted to embody. And I really wanted to bring that person to life because he wasn't just a caricature. He was a part of me that I think I'm turning into,
Right.
and if I can bring that to screen at any point, I've done the director justice, I've done my fellow actors justice, and I'm doing myself justice. So I'm not learning it. I'm being humbled by it, and I'm being taught by it, and I'm being basically gifted something that not a lot of people get to do. Because honestly, how many of us get to say we get to pretend for a living?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, not a lot, but unless you're a stripper. But
I didn't want to say anything, but I prefer entertainer.
yeah, but no, like your cadence too, just by talking to you, like you kind of remind me of like a young John Candy, you know what I mean? You got that sweetness to you and you're very funny. And I don't know, man, like I think like that's so cool because we need more of that art, there's not a lot of people like that, you know.
I hope I get to that point. I might age out of that, but I will say that I always wanted to work with John Candy. Unfortunately, he passed away just as I was getting into the business.
Yeah.
But I do remember getting to stand in front of an audience with Chris Farley and pretending to be him while he was doing his thing. And then I ended up with his jacket from Beverly Hills Ninja that Greg Nicotero created, the tiger. And I
Oh, the
wore
pimp
that.
jacket. Yeah.
I wore that in Who's Your Daddy? I wore that in like 3 films.
Oh,
And,
nice.
and then I sent it back to Greg Nicotero as a wrap gift for The Walking Dead, just because I had so many friends on it. And I was like, just give that to him; he'll be happy. And apparently, it was tickled. He made it out of car upholstery. But it's like it's those moments, that kind of stuff. Like, and to get back to what you were saying is like I would love to give an endearing character that people can relate to because more of us look like John Candy now. More of us feel, our world is like that, but we're missing the Candies and the Farleys of the world, and they're two different people. For me, growing up, Farley was always a goal because I always wanted to do SNL like everyone.
Right.
But and his brothers are amazing as well. But the thing is Chris said to me, and this was I think it was about a month before he passed away. We were working on his brother's show called Head Over Heels, and he was eventually going to play my dad in the show if it kept going. And he said to me, Charlie, just make sure they're not laughing at you. Make sure they're laughing with
Yeah.
you. And that was super important because before that moment, I always had this thought of like, well, I don't want to be a fat actor. I just want to be an actor who happens to be fat, kind of like
Right.
John Candy as opposed to Farley in my mind. But when I met Farley and we had that conversation, I realized he was me and I was him, and he was John and John was him.
Whoa. Is that your dog or my dog?
Oh my goodness. Give me 1 second.
All right.
Hey, buddy, I'm on an interview. Uh-oh. Give me a second.
No worries. Yeah, definitely. All right, we're back. You were talking about Christopher Perry.
Christopher Barry, who's
Oh, Barry.
my best friend, and the reason I'm an actor again, uh, full fledged. If you've seen Django Unchained, you would remember him. He's the one that is beating the gentleman and says, "You're a Georgia person now."
Right,
And
right.
he's also in Django Unchained. He plays Birch, a
Oh,
real
okay.
worker person in that. And then in Django Unchained, he plays a couple different characters, but he's also the fella who says about the masks. You don't like these masks, Mama? I stayed up all night working on these damn masks. You ungrateful sons of bitches. You want your own mask? Make them your damn self with it. And then he's also a couple characters in the first season of True Detective. He plays Charlie Fletcher's cousin, and then he's also the like meth head that McConaughey's smacking around like episode 7 or whatever. He's a
Uh,
brilliant performer, a brilliant actor. He's actually was in God, what was it? Free State of Jones. He plays Jasper Collins, McConaughey's best friend. And he also has another movie with McConaughey coming out called Rivals of Amzea.
oh,
So
nice.
he's the one who convinced me to move. But those were his puppies, and he was he basically said, "Come live with me. We'll get you back in the acting world." And kid you not, 3 days later, I was signed up for The Big Short and doing I Saw the Light, and I was just like, "No, this was a good choice."
Yeah. And then you got Razor Rift, so everything's going in.
I mean, it's all supposed to. You're one of the last wonderful things I get to do down in here in New Orleans before I
Yeah.
move on up the world and see what it's all like in the big concrete city.
Well, Charlie, I have 4 more questions for you, but I do want to respect your time. Are we good? Because
I have all night. You're fine.
okay,
We can talk for hours. Doesn't bother me.
okay,
I literally because of rehearsals today, I just wanted to make sure that I had enough time to get. So I live on the North Shore, so it's an hour drive over this bridge, and it's the longest bridge in the United States. It's over the Pontchartrain, and it's called the Causeway,
yeah,
and it's 24 miles. So it takes a bit to get over it, and
yeah.
especially when it's
24 miles could take an hour too, depending
yeah, it
on
takes an
yeah,
hour to get from New Orleans to my house. When I used to live in New Orleans proper.
yeah.
But yeah, we
Uh,
got.
I live in Huntington Beach and in LA. Like whenever I have a gig in LA, I always have to leave like 2 hours before traffic because you can never know. Like even though LA is kind of technically small, if you think about it, it's
Mhm.
actually very long by traffic.
Yeah, it's a pain in the keister. I used to live in Sherman Oaks, and then for most of it, I lived with Chris in Sherman Oaks, and then I lived in Toluca Lake, but I worked in Santa Monica. It was a pain in the
Yeah,
keister.
it could be like 2 hours, man. But I wanted to ask you about Napoleon Dynamite, which I know this has nothing to do with you, but I've always told my friends that I feel Napoleon Dynamite was actually kind of inspired by Angus, and I was wondering, do you get that same type of feel, or do you not really?
That's it's a good question. I think no,
Okay.
but I think yes. I understand exactly where you're coming from because Angus was small town boy, you know, and Napoleon, small town boy. He obviously had different issues, and he had his kind of at the time you would say geeky sidekick or whatever, who steals the show. It's just fantastic. I mean,
And the suits, you know?
yeah, I mean you can't go wrong. I think the only real homage I've ever seen in films of that era to Angus that I can think of. Obviously, whenever anybody uses "Fade Into You" by Mazzy
Yeah.
Star, but which isn't even the song we danced to in the movie. We actually danced to Katie Lang's "Calling All Angels." But I love the Mazzy Star song. I mean, every time I hear it, I think of Angus. And then I would tell you the movie with Lizzie Kaplan. Oh, God bless her, she's so amazing. Mean Girls.
Okay.
Do you remember her buddy, the tall gay fellow named Mike? He's
Yeah,
he
yeah.
wears his plum tuxedo to the prom.
He's a comedian. I'm trying to
Yes,
remember his name, but
but he
yeah.
wears the plum tuxedo, and
Oh,
it's the exact same color as Angus's tux to prom. And I
oh,
thought that's a true homage to Angus. And
yeah.
I've heard tons of songs. In fact, I didn't even discover the Wanda song by Rivers Cuomo until 2 years into the pandemic.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I was like, "What?" Because there were so many there were so many changes to the movie Angus. It was screened 30 times
Before you guys
before they
came up
finally
with an edit? Yeah.
before they came up with an edit. I
Yeah.
was rather sad about the edit that came out. I was really bummed out that they took out the gay fathers and stuff like that, which changed the whole movie to me because I there was actually a podcast, and I'm trying to remember who it was with, but I know Katie Hudson, not Kate Hudson, but Kate Hudson, who worked was an editorial person for Rotten Tomatoes. They did a review of Angus once during the pandemic, and what I like to do is every few months I'll go through and check the hashtag Angus, see who refers to it, and then respond to them and thank them or what have you. I'll do that on basically all platforms,
Oh yeah.
and then I leave my Instagram open for people who want to talk, or my messengers for people who want to get together or whatever. And
Very thankful for that, by the way, because I
uh,
couldn't find a publicist in information at all, and I was like, oh.
and so I literally was like, okay, this is the best way to do it. But they were reviewing it, and they were like, it seemed like he was a 15-year-old kid just kind of going through it. He's like, it seems like there's some missing stuff, like some heaviness. It's just heavy at one point and then not. And he's like, so I don't know if I really liked it. It just seemed like a 15-year-old doing a 15-year-old thing. And I immediately jumped on that. I was like, you're right, exactly, because it's missing this. But that's no fault really to Chuck Roven or Don Steele or Susan Landau, producers. What they were trying to do is they were trying to make, there was a lot going on with Angus as far as like the feels, and they focused on the body shaming aspect of it, and that's one of the most sensitive subjects we're dealing with today. But
Right.
I think the gay fathers, I don't think it would have deterred from that. But I remember us getting a lot of resistance when people would find out that there were gay fathers in it. So it was a tough job for them to pull off. And I mean, they did something right because we're still talking about it today, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And then, these questions are more about you, like Charlie Talbert. So if you were an ice cream flavor, like a Ben and Jerry's ice cream flavor, what would you call yourself, and what would you be?
Um, it would probably be called Struggles.
Struggles.
And it would just be like a bunch of clowns named Struggles inside of like vanilla ice cream. But when you bit into the clowns, it was like chocolate.
Oh, like there's chocolate and like the clown cook like milk or something.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And then there would be cherry noses all throughout.
Oh, that's good.
And it'd be Struggles ice cream by Ben and
Oh,
Jerry.
that would be
It'll be
great.
Ben and Jerry Struggles.
And then I wanted to ask you, what are your fears that you have in this business, and do you still have those fears when you first started?
I fear that I'll never get to work with Ralph Garman. I fear
Really?
that, yeah.
I know Ralph Garman. I can make this happen.
I heard your interview with him. It was really good. No, in all honesty, I'm trying to think, and it brought back a lot of memories because I grew up on some K Rock. But God, ask me the question one more time. I think.
Oh, what are the fears in this business that you had when you started, and do you still have those fears now?
I think I always have those fears. I think they never go away. It's fear of not letting your director down, fear of not making your co-stars look bad, fear of not being in the moment, fear of being discovered for who you really are, and who you really are isn't good enough for what they're doing. And then also, it's a fear of getting too big of a head sometimes,
Right.
when you do start working, and a fear of not being grateful for what you have, no matter how small you think it is or how big you think it is. You should always be grateful for what you have, because there are others that have nothing,
Yeah.
and there are others that you are the grass that's greener. So remember that. So I'm going to take all that to New York with me, and I'm going to try to just shed all that to the core and learn more, because there's not a time when I don't do something that I don't read the book about what it is, Like when I went out for Underground Railroad, I read the book. When I wanted to go out for well, gosh, when I was in the audition for Megalopolis, I was literally reading Devil in the White City because I knew that Scorsese and DiCaprio, and at the time Keanu Reeves were going to be attached to it, and it was about the World's Fair in '93. I just want to be in those moments and experience what it's like when the camera goes away. And
Yeah.
the last time that happened to me was on Megalopolis, and it was in John Voight's final scene. And Francis goes, "Do you think you should be in there?" And I said, "I think I do. I think I would." And he goes, "Then go." And it was like there was no fourth wall. It was just I was there. And I think that if I can go down that route, then I don't have to worry about those fears that I do fear.
Oh my god. Such a good answer. Like my fears are just I wish I could say what you said, but my fears are very selfish. I'm very fearful of disappointing people, like my loved ones. Like I have daddy issues, you know, and then like my grandfather was my best friend. He died, and then my best friend who I toured with died, and like the guy I tour with now, like I'm just so scared of disappointing everybody on that. You know what I mean? So like that's what I have, and I wish I could have said your answer because your answer is more thoughtful for everyone.
No, I mean you're expressing pretty much what I'm saying. You're just right to the point with it. I did think for a second that you're going to be like, "And the guy that I'm traveling with now, when he dies," and I was like,
Yeah,
"What?"
I
You
don't
do
want.
stand up, right?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I tour with TJ Miller right now,
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah,
I've met him in New Orleans. Really nice dude. Crazy, but
yeah.
really nice dude. And then do you know Aaron Marsh or Jeff Dye or
I know Jeff Dye.
Eric Angus? Those are all friends. I miss stand up very much, and I admire you for continuing. I black out when I do stand up. I have
Yeah,
to record every time because I cannot tell you what I've done.
yeah. Well, come do stand up again, and it would be great. You know, after
Well,
this
I'm when I
big
go to New
movie.
York. I'm going to try. I'm
Yeah.
going to try.
And then my last question for you, Charlie, is if you could go into a time machine and talk to a younger version of yourself, it could be from yesterday or when you were a kid or whatever, knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself? Like you have 20 seconds to say,
Take all your money from Angus and put it in Apple stock.
all right.
What? No, honestly, if I didn't, let's just say I had no grasp of financial concepts,
Right.
because that's always like, what did you do? I go back and get rich and be like, uh, because I think if I was rich, I wouldn't have the same experiences. I think I'd probably be dead, honestly.
Right.
You know, I did a tremendous amount of drugs in the in the like '90s and early 2000s for raves and stuff like that, but nothing like I couldn't handle or anything like that. But it was stupidness and silliness, like ecstasy and all that stuff. But I would say, let's see, hmm, what would I say to myself? By the way, we'll scratch all that ecstasy and drugs thing.
All right.
What would I say to myself if money weren't the thing?
Yeah, right.
If money weren't the thing, I'd probably say, Charlie, don't be too silly. Remember that everything you do on set and with your friends affects them in ways you'll never know.
Oh,
So be silly to make people smile, but don't be silly so that you're not aware that people don't need that right now.
yeah.
Because, I was pretty goofy as a young guy.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I would say is just take it a little bit more seriously. And also, Charlie, you should move to New York when you're 24, not 20 years later. FYI.
Right. You went the LA route first though.
I went to LA because I met a girl who found me through the internet, which was not a very easy thing to do in 1997.
Yeah.
To find my grandmother's address and phone number. in 1997 on a computer was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so I gave that girl a chance, and I drove out to California and stayed with Chris, and then I went up with Chris's dad as my protection. And I met this girl, and I ended up living with her for a couple of years. And she was wonderful people. It was just a massive age gap between us, so it just didn't work out. Like, she was a lot older than I was,
Yeah.
and that's when I went back and lived with Chris and started acting again. So.
Well, that's a good answer. But like if I were you, I would have said, Charlie, go to Wendy's. Trust me.
Well, see, I think I would have already done it.
Oh, okay.
I would never want to go back to before that moment, because
Right.
I would totally fuck it up.
Yeah.
I'd be like, Charlie, you're gonna want to go to Wendy's, and then there's a Wendy's by like the Northbrook Racing, so that's not at the freeway, and I go to the wrong Wendy's,
Right.
and then I end up getting a manager job at Wendy's. That sounds like something I would do. That's like just askew from the reality of what I would do.
Well, where can the folks at home follow and support you? Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Where do you want to be supported on?
Well, I'm moving to New York, so you can find me on my GoFundMe, my Kickstarter, or no. You can find me on. You can find me on. Be serious, Charlie. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook. Either one, I check the messages. Instagram more so. I give everybody one response. I don't go too deep into giving people responses, because sometimes it gets really heavy. Yeah. Like, I'm not equipped for this.
Unless you're Keith Reza, right?
Yeah, then I might give you two, and I'm like, okay, maybe. But I mean, how long have we been planning this now?
Well, it's been a while, but I mean,
Yeah.
I've just been on you though. I'm very persistent. So
You did great. You did great. This was a good slide. I just did one last month. I try to just do one a month because I don't have much to say between,
yeah.
So
Well,
I just dabble do.
Thank you for saying yes to me and taking a chance on me. I really do appreciate it, Charlie.
Yeah, thanks for even thinking of me. I appreciate you.
All right. Well, have a great day, and I can't wait to see this new project, and hopefully you'll come back and we'll talk about it.
Will do.
All right. Bye, Charlie.
Bye now.
All right. That was the episode, guys, with Charlie Talbert. Subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend, and we'll see you guys next week on Razor Riffs.